started off life as a red automatic. I hate red, hate automatics. We went and converted it over to a 6-speed and painted it silver, although we're going to have to change the paint on it because we're going to fit some massive tires under the back to try to hold this 1,000 horsepower that we're going to make with this car. The goals for this car, 1,000 horsepower, low 10-second quarter-mile times, first time out on street tires, and it needs to go 1G lateral, so this is going to be the all-around baddest car out there.
Rough neighborhood out here, man. Rough neighborhood.
We took the engine out, we took the transmission out, we took most of the engine wiring harness out, we took every non-essential out, and we're going to put everything in brand new, only race-ready parts that we feel are absolutely necessary. Because Project Soup Dog is a real race car and we're under extreme time constraints, we already took the liberty of fitting in a really nice chrome moly roll cage that we designed here at the shop. Besides being NHRA certified to about $8.99 in the quarter mile, we also made it specifically so it picks up and triangulates the suspension points on the rear subframe, so this thing should go nice and straight in the quarter mile and should go really fast through the road course. We also put a fuel safe 22-gallon fuel cell in the back, so it should be nice and safe and we'll have plenty of fuel for the track. While this thing's at the body shop, we're going to start off with the engine. We've got plenty of machining to do. We've got a bare block. Let's take a look in the clean room, see what we got to begin with. This is what I'm talking about. This is the way to start off a project car. 3-liter Toyota inline 6 2JZ GTE cast iron stout. We're gonna have to fit this block with the strongest components that we could find in the industry. Each one of them is gonna have to be custom fit for this particular block. All right, we just got our block back from the machine shop. We spent all last night getting this thing cleaned and prepared with hot soapy water. The car is still at the body shop. It's going to be there for a few more weeks, but hopefully when it gets back, we'll have an assembled engine ready to drop right in that dog.
You know we can't wait 2 weeks while that thing's at the body shop. We got to get cracking now. We have no time to build this project. So some of the stuff that our machinist did was he decked the surface here to make sure we get a really good head gasket seal, bored and home the cylinders to accept our new Arius pistons, made sure everything was high-speed balanced, perfect, ready for assembly. All we got to do is clean, inspect everything, and we're going to start that right now. The crankshaft main bolts are these guys right here. We replace them with a stud. How this thing works, sits in the main here, but what you'd lose is this thing will bind up on the top here when you're trying to torque it down, and you'll get a pretty much inaccurate torque reading on the bottom of this thing. So all these fasteners throughout the entire thing could be a little inaccurate, and we don't need that. Plus, when you back these things out or not, because the whole entire shaft has to twist, you lose a lot of strength in this thing. It's inaccurate and it's not very serviceable because it twists a lot. So we change that over to a stud. When you put a stud in there, the stud gets mechanically threaded into the block like Grim's doing right here. Only this little piece will stick out from the top. All we have to do is we get a nice high quality nut and washer that goes on there, and it makes it really serviceable. You can take them on and off. But more importantly, all the torque readings are right snapped up here on the top, and they're all equal throughout the whole entire thing. It's our factory main cap. It's pretty stout. It's good for a couple hundred. Throw it in the garbage as usual. We got these from Program Engineering. They're billet steel, insanely strong, and it's exactly what we need for our bulletproof bottom end. And this is our factory Toyota Supra rod here, and it's pretty cute. It'll do for a couple hundred horsepower just like everything else, so we're going to have to throw it to the curb. The bearing from factory Toyota is very susceptible to damage. It's out of here. And these rinky-dink rod bolts, no good. Everything out of here. What we got to replace it with is this really trick Carrillo H-beam, which is pretty much indestructible unless we go ahead and detonate it. Other than that, it's going to be indestructible. And our own very special rod bearing right here, which is proprietary for us here at the shop. This jammy right here is about 760 thousandths wide, the factory one, and our upgraded bearing is about 940 thousandths wide. And what that's going to mean is when our oil pressure is supporting loads on these rods, we have a much larger footprint, so we get a lot more capacity for oil film to build up there, so it should support a lot more power. We're about to put our 6 rods and piston combination together. I've already got the spiral locks in on one side to ease my assembly just a little bit. Put a little lube on our wrist pin. All right, that one went in real nice and smooth. The Project Soup Dog is very special, and we need to file fit each one of these piston rings specifically for the cylinder, and each one of them needs to be done by hand to a specific tolerance that we've already come up with. This top ring, for example, I'm gonna set it in here. I'm gonna use this piston mocked up with a number 2 ring on it just to set it in here straight. Then I can get a nice accurate gap measurement, ring gap measurement. And this guy right here is measuring up at about, it's like a tight 11 thousandths. I want it to be more in the lines of 14 thousandths, so we're gonna have to file a couple thousandths off of this ring right here. We're gonna have to do this for each one of these cylinders, for the 2 top rings, and maybe even the oil control ring too. We've got all of our rings checked, and they've all matched up to each individual cylinder. All right, so boom. We've got our bottom end assembled. I'm excited, man. We still got a ton of work to do on Project Soup Dog. What do we got to do? We got to do everything.
We got to build the entire car, but the next time you see us, we'll be here putting the cylinder head on, putting the cams in, and degreeing the motor, which is going to be pretty exciting stuff.
Definitely. And, you know, we got our foundation for big horsepower, making a big-ass project car, and it looks good.
I'm happy we got a bottom end. It's exciting stuff.
Let's take lunch, and we'll get back to work.
Dirt, rocks, mud, and even more dirt.